What a fight. Jack Della Maddalena has just become the new welterweight champion in the UFC in an incredible fight against Belal Muhammad, dethroning him and putting on a great performance through all 5 rounds, showcasing how well-rounded he is and overall showing the new generation of fighters. So we need to talk about Belal versus JDM.
But before we get into that, we're Punch Shot going to bring you daily combat sports videos, so if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel. So Jack Della Maddalena going into this fight was an underdog against the reigning champion in Belal Muhammad, who so far hadn't had any title defenses up until that point, but beat Leon Edwards last year in his crowning moment via decision. Jack Della Maddalena hadn't really been proven against this caliber of fighter or wrestler, but we knew he had the hands, we knew he had the crisp boxing combinations, the solid jab, the slip back right hands, and he honestly put on a career best performance in the career biggest fight of his life so far in Montreal, when Belal Muhammad was kind of on this high, saying that he's going to dominate the welterweight division for years and years to come. Jack Della Maddalena halts all those plans, just coming in there, employing a solid, beautiful game plan, being super disciplined on the back foot here and there, but also standing his base, trading and countering Belal Muhammad, because Belal is typically on the front foot, just trying to overwhelm you with pace, pressure, volume. He's not the hardest puncher in the world, but he usually drowns guys, he bullies guys, as his nickname presents, the bully. But Jack didn't let that happen to him. He stuck to a game plan and he executed it perfectly, defended all the takedowns, which many didn't expect. Jack barely got taken down, and when he did, he got back up pretty much right away and pretty much stole this fight and stole the belt off of Belal Muhammad.
Yeah, and this has now capped off an 18-win streak for Jack Della Maddalena and has shown how far he's come so quickly into his career. He's only 28 years old and now he's welterweight champion, but Jack just showed an incredible game plan, was looking so well-rounded throughout that entire fight, was sticking and moving, making sure not to stay too planted so Belal Muhammad can push him on the front foot. He was landing way more damage. The strikes that did land between the two, Jack's was definitely the one that had a lot more damage to them, and you could see Belal's face after the fight, totally bloody, bruised, damaged. Jack had some licks too, especially under his eye, but you could see he put on a devastating performance against Belal. And what really stood out was just how incredible and crisp not just his boxing was, but his head movement specifically was. We saw him always moving off the center line, making sure that Belal's jab couldn't just be landing at will, and it looked like he was just flowing at times, being able to use that in momentum with attacks very well rounded to both the head, the body, and the legs. It was just a great complete MMA display, and incredible for him to show the levels that he can be on. Coming into this fight, Belal was the favorite, but I think that changed very quickly, where you can just see on the feed that JDM was a level above. And although Belal was definitely trying to take down JDM and it was just not working, it seemed like he was sticking to the striking a bit too long at times, to be honest. And of course there's the running joke of Belal saying that he has Canelo hands, and in this fight we saw that's obviously not the case. Not saying that his hands were bad by any means, he definitely looked good, and to be honest, this was his best fight he's probably ever had in his career in terms of throwing and actually putting on an entertaining performance. But in terms of striking, JDM is just a level above.
Yeah, Jack Della Maddalena in his flow state at 170 looks incredible, and now the reigning champion. There are so many young, hungry contenders in that welterweight division. Honestly, it's a great time for that division. You got Joaquin Buckley taking on Kamaru Usman, Ian Gary just coming off a win over Carlos Prates, Shavkat Rakhmonov in the wings, and of course, looming over the division now, Islam Makhachev, who seems like he's going to be coming up in weight now to fight at welterweight, wanting that double champ status. But Jack Della Maddalena is going to be no pushover. He is a threat in that welterweight division. He's a champion for a reason right now, and this was an incredible performance, being able to stuff the takedowns from Belal, being able to nullify his game, being able to implement his own game in the striking aspect, and really just looking very sharp in the biggest moment of his career. He didn't succumb to the pressure, he didn't succumb to the aggressiveness of Belal Muhammad. He just fought his fight and fought his heart out. Both guys showed heart, both guys had solid performances in their own right. It was a dogfight. It did come down to who really wanted it more. You saw in that last round, Jack Della Maddalena looking up at the clock, seeing when the round's going to end, and still going out there and almost finishing Belal Muhammad, really putting damage up against the fence as Belal Muhammad's cuts were gushing blood and Jack was just putting on the pressure immensely. And the implications of this fight going forward is going to be very exciting for not only the welterweight division but the UFC as a whole, as going into this fight, if Belal Muhammad would have won this fight, it seemed like Islam Makhachev would have probably stayed at lightweight, maybe fought Ilia Topuria, and instead, now that Belal Muhammad has lost, it seems like Ilia now wants that shot at double champ status, and that's probably what he's going to get. So that's going to be an exciting fight. The UFC definitely in an interesting spot, the welterweight division in an interesting spot, and it's not over for Belal Muhammad by any means. He is a former champion, but it seems like his career is kind of at a crossroads. Let's say Islam Makhachev does become a welterweight champion. Where does he go from there? Because it seems like those two don't want to fight. So if Islam has that belt, would Belal move up in weight, or what would happen there if he did become the rightful title contender once again? It's an interesting time right now at welterweight. It seems like Belal Muhammad's probably not going to get the next shot, so he's going to have to work his way back up the ladder. Maybe fight the winner of Joaquin Buckley or Kamaru Usman. Maybe rebook that Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. There's definitely other options for both guys, but it seems like right now we're in a very interesting time in the UFC.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Belal Muhammad would get a rematch right away, especially. He did have a great win streak, but he has 0 title defenses, and it's not like he's a fan favorite by any means. But for JDM, that Islam fight is gonna be a severe challenge. The #1 pound for pound fighter in the UFC. Arguably the most well-rounded guy as well. He's been dominating in the prime of his career. But although everyone, of course, maybe even rightfully so, is gonna count out JDM right away just because of Islam's status, it's still no walk in the park for Islam. JDM has a lot of very good tools that could give Islam a very hard challenge, like we saw in this Belal Muhammad fight. If he's able to defend the takedowns like he did against Belal, it could be a very tough night for Islam, especially if he's able to stick and move and outstrike Islam as he should, to be honest. But of course, these are huge question marks. But JDM is also a big guy too. Islam's the one coming up in weight, and it's going to be his first fight at welterweight, so it's definitely a very tough matchup, and I think that's a great fight. Although of course Ilia Topuria is the #1 that everyone wants to see, and rightfully so, this is a very good substitute. JDM has a few similar qualities to Ilia Topuria in the way he fights, to be honest. He is more light-footed, but he does have that very nice boxing style where he mixes it up from the body to the head and shows great head movements in this fight. So it's a very exciting matchup, to be honest. I think it's a great one, and people should not be too quick to count out JDM no matter what. Just because of who Islam is and how he's been dominating doesn't mean we should just fully neglect the skills and capabilities that JDM has and just displayed, being only 28 years old and also in the prime of his career.
Absolutely, and honestly, if I am going to be brutally honest, I don't know if Belal Muhammad is ever going to touch gold again, if he ever is going to become a champion again. He is now 36 years old. It seems like he's coming towards the end of his career, even though he became champion not too long ago, just last year. His title run didn't last long, and there are some killers in that welterweight division. So many contenders that it's going to be hard for Belal Muhammad to get back to the top, especially with Islam Makhachev in the mix and how that can change things. Is he going to have success if he moves up to middleweight? I don't know. It feels like he's undersized. Even against Jack Della Maddalena, he didn't look like the biggest guy in there. So what happens next with Belal is going to be interesting to see. I don't know how many years he does have left at the top, and with the welterweight division moving as fast as it has been recently, I don't think Belal Muhammad will ever be champion again. A lot of things would have to go his way for that to be the case, and I just can't see it happening in the future. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below on JDM beating Belal Muhammad at UFC 315. But if you guys enjoyed and want to see more MMA content, check out how Bo Nickel got exposed on screen now.